be able to share it later. Welcome to our Tejano virtual event. Thank you for coming. It's going to be a wonderful Friday and a wonderful, fantastic presentation. Today we are joined by Chef Guetta, Chef Nickerson, and Chef Lugo from the El Paso Community College Culinary Arts Program. We're going to be providing us with a fantastic tour of their culinary arts facility. So please get comfortable, mute your mics, and if you have any questions, please place them in the chat box. And if you have any questions, if you want to raise your hand or talk to the chefs, please feel free to do so. So thank you for being here today. And chefs, you can start whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you for that great introduction. I also do have some additional chefs helping me out today. Chef Diaz and Chef Gutierrez are the lab assistants for the program, so they'll be joining us as well. So we're going to start with our showcase that we have, the 1309 restaurant, where our students get to practice some hands-on experiential learning. We also do have the Dine and Dash, but it is not open at this time, so that's a little bit right down the hall. It's open 2 or 3 days a week right now, and we will get a little bit more into that as we talk about the areas. As we go through the kitchens, we're going to go through several kitchens, and they all have their own unique special role in the program. So this area is used for our restaurant management students to get some hands-on experiential learning serving guests. We are still not open for face-to-face service until summer is what we're looking at doing and operating with a face-to-face modality and serving guests in the restaurants. Our students are preparing meals at this time. Yesterday was the last one for the semester, where we were doing carside. Guests would call in or order via email, and then they would come over on Thursday evenings between 4:30 and 5:30, give us a call that they were here, and we'd run up and take them their meals. So I just actually got a compliment on how well the students did yesterday on that meal. So as we look through this area, there's going to be a few different features that we focus in on, and to stand. We actually have an Aloha system, which is a POS system that is very heavily used, and there's other systems that are very similar to it for our students to practice ringing in orders and submitting them into the kitchen and stuff like that. We have our book here for taking reservations along with the phone line, and the phone line is really easy, so if we get questions on that, it's 915-831-1309, just like the restaurant. So this is basically what our dining room looks like. We have different types of setups so that students can practice different styles of service. So we have what we would call our European or banquet style seating. We have our freestanding tables in the middle, and then in the back you can see our booths. So the students get that different type of experience, the guests get different types of experiences, and it's all up to them how they want to enjoy their meals. And we have guests that specifically make a reservation and say, I only want to sit in a booth, or I only want the banquet. So just depending on what the guests want, we want to train the students on providing the guests what they need. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Chef Diaz, who's going to talk to you about the kitchen here in 1309.
Yes, sir. All right. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Hope everyone is good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my video with you guys, which you can see, right? You can share. Okay. Just want to make sure. All right. I'm going to step into the kitchen, guys. I remember doing a demo for you guys, the Valentine's steak and lobster that we made here in this gorgeous kitchen. If you can't hear me, please let me know. I'm talking as close as I can to the microphone, okay? So welcome everybody. My name is Chef Diaz once again. I am walking into a kitchen here at 1309, where all the students make the food. The instructors just basically instruct them, okay? Starting from this side, where I have a tripod sitting, this is your first course, okay? Let me go ahead and move over here a little bit. All right, on this side, we have your first course, okay? Also, what before that, because it's a 5-course meal, is your amuse-bouche. That's a 1 to 2 bite complimentary dish that we provide to the customer, our guests, sorry. And it basically, or it should, sometimes ties into your entree. Sometimes we just let the student get creative with it, utilize product that we have here in our fridge that I'm going to show you. And then we get into our first course. Okay, and from there we have our famous, 1309 salad, delicious balsamic cranberry vinaigrette, extremely delicious with the blue cheese. Everything just complements very well. From there, depending on the season itself, we can do like a watermelon gazpacho. We can do like for the summer, which is a cold soup, or we can get into something more on the savory side and do like a French onion for the winter. I know that sounds delicious right now. Moving on, your third course would actually be your intermezzo, your palate cleanser, and that would be done over here on the pastry side. Okay. We did dim the lights for you, trying to set the mood. So don't think we're not trying to turn on lights here. We're just trying to make it, warming and welcoming, especially if you're outside, as a future guest of ours looking at the students make the food. So from there, after our intermezzo, we get into our entree, okay, which we also call our hotline. You have your stoves in the back. You got your grill. You got your fryer. Okay, you got your salamander with radiant heat coming from above. Okay, that's where a lot of steaks can get cooked if you're not wanting to throw them on the grill itself. Our heat lamps, of course, to help keep the food nice and warm. So if you see these coming up and down, okay, that's just to keep them nice and hot while we provide more food up here, or the student does. And then we go ahead and finish it off with our, could be our crisp onions. It could be a knife if it's a steak, okay? And here are our printers, okay? Every station gets a printer, okay? So when you're on that station, basically you scratch it off when you're done. Makes it easier for you. Now, we're gonna go ahead and move towards the back. Oh, sorry, the best part. Oh, how can I forget? Pastry. Pastry would be on this side. Our trio dessert that we provide here, one of our favorites, has the best, or all three of the, my favorite cheesecake. We have your brownie, red velvet cake with all the delicious accompaniments. Let's go ahead and move on, guys, to the back. Our dishwashing station, of course, we don't have to go over there. Our reach-in fridges here, our compartment sinks. Okay, and here's the hotline, as you guys can see. Nice and clean, a little bit unorganized right there, but we're moving some stuff around. All right, we have sorry, this is our pot and pan storage. Some of them, a lot of containers, our seasonings and whatnot, our pantry, as we call it. Our freezers, walk-in freezer, walk-in fridge, and here's the other side, okay? That we can make if we're doing fresh pastas to order. Here's where we can make it out. Pop them right here, and just like your traditional kitchen, you can go ahead and pop your plates on the window right here, which we don't have heaters, so we need a lot of communication, which is something we stress here at the program. With the program, is to make sure students communicate with each other. If you're in a quiet kitchen, I would be worried. Okay, so walk out. This is one of my favorite new toys we got, our roaster. Okay, we've done briskets in here. You name it, turkey, pork, and so forth. We have our ice cream maker. This is probably one of the most important parts that lets you know you are in the kitchen. Is your vegetable washer. Okay, this isn't where we wash dishes. This is not where we defrost chicken. This is strictly for vegetables that we wash. We use a specific chemical for that. I don't want to call it chemical, but it's this vegetable cream that we use, that we soak it in, depending on what vegetable we're doing. And there we go. Hopefully I touched base on everything.
I think you did, Chef. We do have some questions. Yes, so let's pause and get some questions.
Okay.
Someone asked, what is the reason for the printers, the service tickets?
The printers, okay. So the server themselves, when they're putting it in the POS, as Chef Guerra showed you earlier, the tickets come out. For example, you guys can see right here, we get a ticket coming up. It's about for 50 tops, for example. We go ahead and pop them up here, okay? And these are great questions, should I say. For example, this station here is going to have strictly what the first course has to make. And that's what I'm saying. This is your first course station. It also has your amuse-bouche. So the amuse-bouche would be on that side. And the reason for that is because they have their own fridge. They have their own, everything on the first course would be cold unless it's a soup. That would be heated up on that side. Okay, so they need to communicate. Okay, amuse-bouche, let me know you're 5 minutes from going out, from selling. Okay, so I can go ahead and start my first course. Amuse-bouche goes out. I go ahead and cross it off. And then when my first course goes out, then I go ahead and cross it off. And that doesn't mean once I put it on here. That means once the once the server actually puts it on their tray and runs it up, then we cross it out. And that lets us know, okay, that's it. So if you look at it, a restaurant that has a ticket that has everything from start to finish, first course, intermezzo, dessert, only this side would actually have it. Okay, only one person actually has it, so they can cross it off. But each station has their individual items, if you will. Okay, hope I answer your question.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Did we have any more hands raised or any other questions before we move on to the next area? No? All right. So Chef Diaz is going to pass it off over to Chef Gutierrez, who's going to show us the SCS, or Student Culinary Services Kitchen, and Chef Nickerson will be providing a little bit of information about his area. He's the Student Culinary Services Manager. It appears we're having some issues with Chef Gutierrez's connection, so let me see if we can get somebody to jump in.
Hey, Chef, do you want me to start doing the garden outside?
Let me see. Okay, Diaz is connected.
Okay.
There you go. So yeah, let's talk about the SES real quick, please.
Okay, can you all hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, great, thank you. So this is the Student Culinary Services Kitchen. And Student Culinary Services runs the Dine and Dash Cafe in the front, along with all the catered events. It is where the students in the pastry and culinary arts or chef programs will complete their work experience, more like their internship hours in the fall and the spring semesters. And the primary objective is for SES to provide an environment for the students in the program to practice all the skills and the objectives that they're learning in the lab and apply them in a more real-world setting before they finish school, and then they move out into the industry itself. So it is one of these smaller kitchens that we do have, and that does also provide the students with a more realistic idea of what it's going to be like to work in some of the spaces in professional kitchens, whereas the 1309 restaurant you saw is very large. It has a lot of space, but it's a lab. We want students to really be able to experience using a wide array of equipment. SES is much smaller, so they have to be able to learn to work together and to work in close quarters and be organized and work clean at the same time. And so that is what I have to pass off to the next chef.
Thank you, Chef. So I am back, and I am in the pastry kitchen, and I'm gonna try to use the tripod so I don't move too much, and hopefully you can see our monitor up there. We have some of our classrooms actually fitted with monitors to replace the old school mirrors so that students can actually see what the chef is demoing. And so right now we have it based on our one of our marble tables, so students can work with chocolate and sugar. Very important about this kitchen is that it's kind of a cold kitchen, if you will, and it has a cold side and a hot side, in that if we're working with chocolate or sugar, those are very temperamental when we talk about moisture in the air, humidity, we talk about heat or cold. So we really want this closer to 70 degrees when we're working in here to keep that perfect level that we're looking for. So that's one of the showcases that we have here. Most of our program classes are at a 15-to-1 ratio, but right now this classroom, when they're doing their lab, they're only using 10-to-1 ratio. So those students do get a good amount of one-on-one time and experience with their instructor when they're in here, and it's very specific. So in pastry, you no matter which degree plan you go for, you're going to start with the same 3 basic classes: Chef 1301, PSTR 1301, and Chef 1305. And those are all the basics: basic baking, basic cooking, and sanitation and safety. So we have to understand all of those aspects before you go on to the next level. And when we talk about pastry, the next level of classes would be like our bakery operations. So students start working in this big kitchen. It's really repetitive. It's really big bulk items that we want to produce. You don't go to Dunkin' Donuts and buy a single donut, right? Most people go in and buy a dozen donuts or 2 dozen donuts. So we want to make sure that the students get that practice and that repetition. So when they come into these classes, we take everything that they were introduced to in basics and we reaffirm what they learned. So you have one day that you come in for basic baking and all you're making is pies, or all you're making is cookies. So there's a class that's just nothing but pies, tarts, tea cakes, and cookies, and that is exactly what it's called. So you're making all of that. We have another class on laminated doughs. And when we talk about laminated doughs, let me turn the camera for you a little bit. We have a sheeter, the white machine in the middle that's folded upward. And that's used for layering the layers of fat and flour so that we can get things like our croissants or puff pastry. You might even do a pie dough in there to get those layers really nice, depending on what you're looking for. So that's very helpful, as opposed to in the old days, it would take, sometimes even days to make those types of products. And now we can get that done in a matter of minutes. And depending on the batch, maybe an hour or so. So things like that help us out a lot. Very next to that door underneath that phone, you can see a big machine that has an ER on it. And that ER is used for cutting rolls, the bread, a dough divider. So if we had to roll out 50 rolls for an event, that would take me probably about 15 to 20 minutes to sit here and roll those out. I can put it in that machine and in about 2 minutes, I'd have it done. And it's right there, right next to our spiral mixer, which is intended for helping us make bread and getting the texture that we're looking for. And then you can see the wall is covered with mixers, all shapes and sizes of mixers that we have. Some of y'all might even fit in some of these mixers that we have. They're so big. And then as you look into the corner, part of the process of making the bread, we need to proof some of the bread and let it rise. And it needs the perfect, again, amount of moisture, the perfect amount of heat. So when we do that, we have these chambers that shoot water in there to keep that moisture level, or sometimes you need to retard the bread. You need to stop it from proofing, so it needs to chill it down a little bit. So there's different types of equipment that we have in here. Ovens are obviously huge and very important. So we have the Blodgett convection oven sitting over there. And then in the corner there, we have a very huge piece of equipment that is used for making different types of breads. So we can do anything like pitas or flatbreads. But if we wanted to do something like a baguette with a really nice tough crust on the outside, we can control the amount of humidity that's in there too. So we just hit that steam injection and it shoots water onto the baking surface, and then it just allows that steam to create that crust that we're looking for. Again, we also do store food in here. The walk-in coolers are back over there in the corner. Ice cream machine, a Paco Jet, all of those are very fun toys that our students use and learn and make different types of things. So I think I covered everything in the pastry shop. I think Chef Lugo's here. If you want to add on, Chef, go right ahead. If you're cool with it, then we will move on to our basics classroom with Chef Diaz again.
Very thorough, Chef. Thank you.
All right, guys. Since we don't have any questions, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the basics. We have 2 basics kitchens, okay, and one of them that I'm in right now, it is interchangeable. We use it for the chef side. We mainly use it for pastries. And as far as I'm not talking about the advanced pastry kitchen because we have that. This would be for the basics, okay, and that's why we call it basics. For every student, regardless of what degree plan you are going for, whether it's chef, pastry, or restaurant management, everybody has to go through safety and sanitation, and also your basics cooking classes, which would be Chef 1301, and you get into pastry, okay? Something you need to learn, like I said, even if you're not getting into pastry itself, you still gotta know, especially when you're converting from ounces to grams and so forth. All right, guys. What we normally fit in here would be about 15 students. I know we have 6 tables. Sometimes we'll have 3 students per table executing their objectives. On this side, we have a blast chiller, but we also use it to bring our spice rack. Have you guys noticed in here, we don't have any walk-in refrigerators or freezers. What we do as lab assistants, Chef Gutierrez and myself, we take care of the ordering process, and then we fill the carts, which we're going to show you in the commissary. And from there, we utilize requisitions. Those have all the ingredients that we need to purchase, makes life a lot easier. And then we just fill it per week based on the objectives that are given to us, that are laid out. From there, we roll in the speed carts over here, and we put them inside our reach-in refrigerator. And then we have our freezer, reach-in freezer on the left side. Okay. I wish I had one of these at the house. You know how much food you can fit in here? So both sides, of course, we always follow, safe practices, raw meats on the bottom, and then we go from there, vegetables on top. Then we have our freezer, okay? Chill everything down, our ice machine. We have our compartments, just like I told you guys in 1309. We have our vegetable cleaner over here, okay? You have vegetables, you want, lettuce, zucchini, you want to go ahead and get them cleaned here. From there, our 4 compartment sink over here that we use, we want to go ahead and rinse off your material. Yeah. We start with our soap container, and then we have our rinsing, and then our sanitation. And if anybody forgets, we have it laid out. Okay, because it does happen when you start as a new student. We've all been there. As far as Chef Gutierrez, Lugo, Chef Guerra, we've all been there. Okay, so we forget stuff. We have our cleaning room on that side. On this side, we have which we have the light off. We have our pot and pan area. Okay, we have the chairs for the students. Try to keep it organized as best as possible. Everything must be clean. Chef Gutierrez and myself do check classes at the end to make sure, it's great to check each other, make sure we're all practicing safe practices, cleaning and organizing and whatnot, just so, make sure our students are leaving one piece, basically. Our grills, we have an extra stove here that we use for stocks, just because we use large containers, 40 gallons, for example. We don't want to place one over here just because it's too high. We want to make it easier. Our prep tables, we do use for the students, our spigots for water when we are, so we're not having to travel water from one end of the kitchen, for example. All right, so going back to the speed racks, guys, what is it that we put on those speed racks? I told you about requisitions, buying products. Well, and I did talk about briefly on Chef 1301, they do their basics, they do cuts. So we purchase a lot of vegetables, okay? We purchase a lot of chicken bone or whole chickens. They fabricate it, they learn how to, the whole process when they get into practicum, when they do their practical, it starts with their basics, and they do their chicken fabrication. They utilize those bones to make stock, either a white stock, they want to make a brown stock. We show them all that. Everything gets used here. The next class is moving up. From there, you would have American Regional, you would have International Cuisine, 2 of my favorites. Any cuisine is just probably my favorite. I guess I would say Italian, another cuisine that we show here. But international is just one of those, you're gonna you're going to experience ingredients like you know, probably saw in the store. You didn't know what was that. You didn't know how to utilize that. We're going to show you that here. Okay. One class that we do not hold, that's not held here in these basics kitchens would be garde manger. But we still, every class that involves food, we put a speed rack together. I'm kind of excited to show you guys what it is. It's a lot of ingredients, you know, basically, we'll say about 50 on average ingredients per cart, per sheet pan. That's per class. So if we have 5 classes, you know, you multiply that, you know, that's about 250 items we're putting together. But it'll be the same because a lot of the ingredients are dovetailed, which is why we have our requisitions. Okay, it makes, like I said, life easier on us. All right, I think I touched base on everything. One thing yes, please.
The question is, why are the raw meats on the bottom of the refrigerator?
You do not want cross-contamination. Everybody knows chicken, you know, you end up, if you consume salmon, if you get salmonella, you're talking about a world of hurt, you know, E. coli from ground beef. You definitely want to separate it. One question I like to ask students is, you know, you have ground beef and you have whole beef. Okay, like a beef loin, you buy a top round in a big chunk that came from one cow, and then you have ground beef. Which one would go on top and which one would go on bottom? And it kind of, you know, stumps them at first, and then they think about it, and then they end up, you know, from doing their homework, they're like, yes, it would actually be the ground beef would be on the bottom. And why is that? You know, because ground beef itself is made from like hundreds, thousands of, you know, different cows, you know, that are just ground up, the meat itself, the muscle. Okay. But we do, that's part of safety and sanitation. Okay. Because it's just, look at it this way. It's like, before you can start, you know, before you hit the ground, you have to learn how to, you know, crawl, and then you walk, and then you run. Well, you can't just come in here and start cooking. You got to learn safety and sanitation from there. You know, you'll be able to start prepping and cooking, you know, but that's part of your basics that you should never stop practicing. Okay. Great question.
Thank
Any
you.
else?
Another question was, are those outlets hanging from the ceiling?
Yes. Thank you for noticing. I was waiting for somebody to ask. Yes, we have these outlets. Okay. Just be careful not to pull it too hard. Okay. So just to make it easier for you, depending on how long or the length of your cord itself. But you obviously don't want it to get in the way of your cooking. You don't want to walk by, you know, and end up it get attached to your thermometer, for example. And at the end of the day, we just leave it up so we don't run into it. But we do clean these every day. They get detailed because they do collect dirt. So awesome. Another question. Come on, guys. I can do this all day. Who's next?
Where did you all get all the ideas for the way you laid out the department? I mean, it's fantastic. So how did you visit places or just your knowledge? How did this come around?
Great question.
Oh,
So
you know what?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I kind of started right before we started working on opening this place up, and I say opening it up as far as the groundbreaking and that kind of fun stuff. But actually, Chef Lugo and Dean Webb over at Trans Mountain Campus did get to go to a number of culinary schools throughout the country to see kind of how they did things, and then us chefs are great thieves. So we took all their ideas and brought them here to El Paso and built it up. So that was kind of the process of getting this program set up and built out. So really, Chef Lugo and Rick Webb put it all out on Visio. It's a drawing program. They drew it out. They brought it to the architects that ended up getting the award to do this job. And this is kind of what the middle, I guess you can say, the architects kind of just put in some flary kind of stuff in here. And then from there, they really took our input on how to, you know, even the paint, the paint that we initially got was a very expensive paint. And they made all of that happen, the tiles, all sorts of stuff that, you know, it's still modern today, but back then it was like the cutting edge stuff.
It's
So good
awesome. Thank
question.
you so much. Thank you. It's
You
fantastic.
got it.
One
You got
question
it.
is, tell us something we don't know and should know about, like, for example, the meat cross-contamination. What is it that a lot of people don't realize?
I would say probably the importance of either washing their hands or changing utensils. Sometimes people will put chicken down with a pair of tongs, and then they'll use that same pair of tongs to pull the cooked chicken out. That's cross-contamination. So you could get salmonella from doing that. Um, I know some folks out there might be thawing things at room temperature. That's also strongly frowned upon in this industry. And if a health inspector walked in and saw us doing that, we would probably lose a lot of points for doing that.
Thank you.
Good questions. So I think we have Chef Gutierrez lined up in the Culinary or Student Resource Center that we have here at the ASC. Okay, hang on. How about using metal utensils? What was the rest of the question? How about using metal utensils?
Versus wooden.
Oh, okay, good question. Another good question. So wood actually has natural enzymes that will kill off some of the bacteria that develops from the foods that we cook. So I am all for that. I tell my students don't put metal on metal. You might end up with a gray sauce when it's supposed to be a cream sauce. So that's really also something we try to instill in our students while they're here.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay, I'll pass it on over to Chef Gutierrez.
Oh, this is a culinary research center. This is where the students come in and tend to relax. If they don't have a lot of homework, they do have homework. They have all the computers in the back to work on them, to work on that homework. We do have books for travel and tourism, culinary arts, massage therapy. To our right, we do have a television connected to the PlayStation as well, where they can come and they, like I said, relax more, have some leisure time in between their classes. They can even connect to their Netflix if they wanted to, using their own password. Right here is where we have the computers, and we do have a little room where you used to have a TV as well, and go in there and relax even more uh, by itself. I think that's it.
Oh yeah. Any questions?
Great, thank you. Did we have any questions? No? All right, so I'm standing in front of our research and test kitchen. We share this space also with our education department. So we actually just set up, and I'm gonna call it a bar, even though we use it for alcohol. And the entire A is a liquor license through the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. So we can serve alcohol basically anywhere in this facility. So we are working on setting this up. We're in a transition. So basically students would sit here at the bar top where the chef would be doing their demonstrations. And you can see that we have kitchen equipment, we have bar stools, and the students that are here in the class can see what's going on. If they want to participate, they can participate as well as far as cooking, prepping. And this summer we're actually working on hosting a class, well, two classes on French cuisine. We're going to have our beginner French cuisine for anybody that, you just want to learn a little bit more about cooking. So the class would be, I believe it's either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. It's one night a week for 4 weeks, and it takes place from 6 to 9. So if you have that 8 to 5, you're more than welcome to come in from 6 to 9. I think the classes are pretty inexpensive. The chef will prepare a dish for you. You get to taste it, take home recipes, and practice it at home again if you'd like. So that's what we're working on in here so far. We have a breads class coming up in the summer as well. So just about anything you can think of. We also have another sister kitchen, if you will, with Vide at their area, where they offer more continuing ed classes. Also, on the research and test kitchen that we're building here, we're looking at putting a bunch of molecular gastronomy equipment. So we're trying to use science to influence the food and make it as good or as rich or as light as we possibly can. And so there's a lot of new techniques that we're trying to continue to learn and maybe pass it on to the next generation of chefs. But like Chef Diaz said, you know, they got to learn to walk before they can run. So you got to understand all the basics before you even start thinking about how you're going to distill, you know, roses or something, or how you want to make a pulp out of tomato. So you really have to get the basics down before we get you into this kitchen, teach you about that kind of stuff. So from here, we're going to go ahead and pass it back to the lab assistants. Chef Diaz and Chef Gutierrez are going to show you the area they mostly working out to get the cart together and get the classes up and running with all the ingredients, equipment that they need. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chef Guerra.
All right, well, there's a commissary, guys. If you start walking this way, we have some of our, we do our ice carvings in here. So we have some of our hand tools on hand. We did get this awesome machine that we use to do some of our ice carvings.
I think we lost your video.
You lost our video.
Okay, you guys can see now? Oh, that's good.
Awesome.
Oh,
So this is where we draw the, for the CNC, this is where we draw the drawings. We send it to the CNC, and that's where we do the majority of the work. And then we go in there and finish it by hand with our hand tools that we have to our card right here. Over here towards the back, we do have this, it's called a Condo Machine, where we do our ice blocks. We make them in 3 to 4 days. It takes about 3 to 4 days. They're about 400 pounds, and they're completely cleared. Right now, there's some ice blocks in there. They're about halfway done, so it'll be done by Monday. Over here to our right, we have our freezer where we do the ice carving. We are working on one. That's the reverse side. We do have some blocks on the other side, and as you can see, we have some scrap ice that we've been using. And then that's what we do from the ice carving. So we just went to the right where you can see all the dry storage that we have that we use for our carts that Chef Diaz was talking about earlier. We start with our grains, legumes, our Asian cuisine, pastry items. We have all our vinegars, oils. We go to all our spices, and on this side we have even more greens. And on the very bottom we have all our flours, sugars, anything that we would need for baking classes. We do have our liquor cage that we use for cooking classes. It is locked. We do have it on the camera, so nobody gets any ideas.
Oh man!
And over here to my right, we do have and it's closed right now, but we do have another storage. We do store the wine that we sell, the wine and beer, and also it's locked with the key, mega lock, and it's also has a camera inside and outside.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Chef Gutierrez. Now, guys, so I told you earlier when I was in the basics classes, I want to jump inside the fridges real quick. This is our vegetable fridge. At the moment, it is our protein fridge, just for a couple more weeks. So these are the carts I'm talking about. You can see all the items. I mean, it's a long sheet pan that goes all the way to the back. So you guys can guesstimate how much stuff is on here. This is what we have for next week. Next week being week 7. And it is mystery baskets, practicals, and last objectives before they start cleaning, which they clean every day, but they do an actual detail at the end of the semester. Moving on, this is our protein fridge that they are working on. We have our freezer that is filled to the gills right now. We have it at an incredible, we're like at 15 degrees right now, 10 degrees. That's pretty much what you want for a freezer itself. Love to keep it organized, but there's just a lot of stuff that we have, a lot of food. Moving on, guys, we do have a lot of more equipment here that we move on to the kitchens, not just the speed racks themselves. We also take This would be our sausage grinder. Okay, and we have all our dies on the bottom to do a progressive grind. One of my favorites objectives when I took Armager. I did talk about that earlier, but that's one of the cold kitchen. Okay, that's making sausages was extremely. It was very fun. Okay, there's a lot that goes on to it. I'm not going to get into it right now. Maybe we can do a demo for you guys in the future. I would love to do that. We have our sausage press right here that uses this device. Okay, we have our tubes, depending on what size sausage you want to make. Our mixtures, of course. Moving on, I'm not going to show you our office because it's still being organized. We do have some wonderful fish over here, tilapia, that we started pretty much as babies, and they're growing more and more. We're actually, what do we put basil over here, Chef?
It's spicy mixed greens.
Spicy mixed greens that we started. Okay, and they're growing slowly. All right. What we have here, guys, we get a lot of toys every now and then that we have fun with. This is a compartment sink that's going to be for 1309. This is a 4-compartment sink. What we have in 1309 right now is a 3-compartment. Okay. So we're going to get this set up down the road. Moving on to our molecular gastronomy. Okay, I'm going to talk briefly about this stuff. This is where we have fun as chefs. People think chefs are, grumpy and all that. This is where we have fun. Of course, teaching the students, but in the industry, basically, when it comes time to using a sous vide machine, which is this bad boy right here, temperature controlled environments. I could use this every week and never get bored. This is where, like I said, where we have fun. You want eggs cooked, hard-boiled eggs, do at 170 degrees for about an hour. You have the most perfect hard-boiled eggs ever made. Last week, I did a 2.5-pound ribeye bone-in that I made for my family. I had it sitting in here at 130 degrees to give me a gorgeous medium. Close your eyes, if you will, so I can paint you a picture. Just imagine roasted garlic, jalapenos, shallots, gently caramelized, thrown into a sous vide bag with some herbs, extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. Oh my God. And you just sous vide it, plunk it in there, and just say goodnight, and then talk to it in about maybe 3 hours. Which is what we call as culinarians a reverse sear. So usually you would sear something and finish it in the oven. And for this example, we're actually cooking it to a perfect 130 degrees. We take it out, we get the cast iron nice and hot, throw in some oil and butter, and then we sear it on both sides. Oh my God, you're not getting that great texture that you usually get when you cook a steak on a grill at a high temp. Okay, the flavor was just incredible. Anyway, that's another demo we could do. Chef, I hope you're writing these down because I'm getting excited over here. We have our dry freezer.
Make us lunch, Chef.
I'm sorry?
I said I was hoping you'd make us lunch.
Oh yeah, we have our freeze jar right here. That we used maybe about a month ago. Worked extremely well, guys. This take about a few days for the process. Anti-griddle. This is something, if you guys ever been to, Fahrenheit, 11, where you're basically using a custard and then any kind of flavorings. If you want to add maybe some strawberry puree, and you want to make ice cream from a liquid and have it transformed into a solid form, or a velvety, I want to say solid form because that'd be like a freezer, but get like just a smooth velvety texture, which is ice cream at its finest, and that's what you'll get with an anti-griddle. Here we have our gastrovac. Okay. Here I just used this earlier, guys. Well, actually like 2 days ago, like talking about winterizing a fridge. We have mushrooms that we want to go ahead and, you know, basically dry them out. And that's what we use here. Real simple, plug it in, top them off. Should have brought it back to show you. All right, let's go ahead and move over here. Sorry about that. This bad boy, very ancient. When I started at the hospital, I got introduced to this. This is a buffalo chopper. On this end, you have an attachment where you can shred cheese, you can shred cabbage, make some coleslaw. On this side, let's say you make a pulled pork and you want to chop it up in small pieces. Well, the longer you let this bad boy rotate, which it does rotate, I'm not going to let it go all the way. We do have a blade on this side that spins, and as it spins, well, of course, the blade is spinning and just chopping everything up. Awesome technique to use. Making, yes, we can chop for hours, but eventually we get tired as chefs. So having equipment like this, especially in the program, to show the students works wonders. It's to see the look on their face, like, wow, we didn't know this was on there. We thought, or in the culinary world, we thought you guys cut everything by hand. This just makes your life easier. Moving on to our cryovac machines. Okay, so again, talking about the sous vide machine. Here we go ahead and get bags. This is a large one, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how Chef Gutierrez hold the phone. Showing the students whenever they bring product back at the end of the day, we go ahead and show them, okay, well, you have a chunk of meat, let's go ahead and cryovac. You have leftover chicken, which we separate. We have some for carcasses, which we're in the freezer, I'd show you. And we also have our white meat, our chicken breast and our tenderloin. We have our dark meat, chicken leg, chicken thigh. All you do is, just like using a pastry bag, just so we don't cross-contaminate, like Chef Guerra was talking about earlier. Of course, our hands are washed, okay? And when we place the product itself, dump it in. We're done. First, we use some gloves. We take our gloves off, wash our hands, come over here, pile it on. This is one of our new versions, okay? Works great. We got it about maybe a couple years ago, a year and a half ago or so. We place our product in there. All we do is turn it on. Our one setting is, universal. If you want something lighter, like you want to cryovac some eggs, you can do that too, but without that pressure we don't want to break those eggs, then we would go to a number 2. But number 1 is standard for, cryovacing everything, sucking all that moisture out. All that air out, okay, all that oxygen. We just close it like so. It's not on, so it's not going to start, and that's it. But this is one machine we use every day. You talk about preserving your food. You want to prolong the shelf life of your chicken breasts or your whole chicken, any meats that you have here. And that's what we practice here day in and day out. All right. So, what else do we have? We have our laundry. So we're not just chefs, okay? We do it all here. We iron. Chef Gutierrez was ironing earlier. We have our towels, just basically everything towels drying that we need to put away, of course. So we're working all the time, staying busy, trying to stay organized. We have all our chemicals in here, mops, all our linen. Okay, so once we wash them, we dry them, we throw them on this table right here, and we iron them with this machine over here. All right. Well, do you guys have any questions? I'm pretty sure that was a long tour of the commissary.
That came in, Chef. Yeah, there were some questions that came in on supply issues, but I don't think we've really faced too many supply issues. For example, Chef Diaz was talking about buying the whole piece of meat, whether it's a round or it's a ribeye or it's New York strip. Since we buy in such bulk and there's so for example, like chicken. I'm sure you guys have noticed that chicken wings have gone through the roof. We don't buy chicken wings. We buy whole chickens, and we teach the students how to break everything down. So since we buy the big, either primal cuts or the whole bird, we really don't feel the pain so much. Is it more expensive? Yes, it is, but it's not as bad as it could be, I guess, if we were specifically a wing restaurant or specifically a steakhouse. For example, at like Ruth Chris, they buy the steaks already cut, so they don't have to worry about cutting them up. But we teach the students how to cut them up. So good question. Did I miss any other questions out there?
No, I think that's it so far.
Thank you for the nice comments. So we're gonna head outside now. So I don't know if you can hear me. I am actually standing behind the fountains. We're gonna pass it over to Chef Nickerson here shortly. But just so you can see, if you hear me and you hear a lot of background noise, I'm actually standing out behind the fountains, and there's traffic passing by. And Chef Nickerson's gonna show you a little bit about our garden and our greenhouse. And since it's so spread out, I'm at the opposite end, closest to the fountains. Go ahead, Chef.
Okay, yes, thank you. So right behind me here is our raised beds or wicking beds, and the way these work is in the very bottom area of them. So you have the layer of soil on top. And
I
then,
think we lost the video. Oh, there you are. There you are.
you got it? Okay. So you have all the soil here, and below that is a layer of rock, and you have these pipes that connect at both ends. And so the way the system works is that you water into these pipes, and all the water is absorbed from the bottom up. So these are designed for the kind of climate that we have here, where we want to store as much water as possible and not lose so much to evaporation over the course of the day. And just to give you an example, these are all cauliflower plants that we've been growing for a few months now. That are in this one raised bed over here. And when you get to the inside, you can see the cauliflower plant, the cauliflower itself, that is starting to come up. These are some little bigger ones over here. And if Chef Gerda wants to take it real quick to do that side.
Sure thing. Thank you, Chef. So I'm actually standing in the middle of our grapevines. So we also did get a grant in 2013 that we focused on building the garden in the greenhouse area. We got another sub-award grant from UTEP, where we're working with them and their engineers, and they were really focusing on wines and building wineries and things like that through their engineering program. They actually took trips to the Mexican growing region in Baja California, down in Ensenada, and they learned different types of techniques and things like that. So we wanted to join with them and work with them together. We actually started growing our own grapes, making our own wine. We are actually in the process of working on a new program on brewing, viticulture, and enology. Viticulture refers to the growing of the grapes, which is what we do here in our area, and the enology is the making of the wine, which happens back in the commissary. We have some specific equipment for that. Behind the grapevines, you can see there's some pomegranate trees with those bright orange red flowers coming in. We also do have a pecan tree back here, and then some additional shade trees going down the way. So where Chef Nickerson was at, hopefully you can kind of see down the aisle there. Let me see if I can lift this up a little bit. We have shade trees, which are ash trees. We have olive trees and fig trees, and we grow all of that stuff. The students utilize the product and utilize it in their classes. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Chef Nickerson so he can tell you a little bit more about our greenhouse and our aquaponics system.
All right, thank you, Chef. So inside our greenhouse, we do have our aquaponics system, which is a combination of the aquafarm and hydroponics. And so in these tanks here, you can see this, we do have tilapia fish that we are growing and raising, and we do, yes, use them for food in the 1309 restaurant. But the system is connected here and runs through these different raised beds here. And the water filters back into the tank that holds the fish. And the whole purpose of it is that the plants in here, so you have this giant Swiss chard plant, they are able to absorb the nutrients from the fish waste directly into their roots, and able to just utilize that as quickly as possible. So the greenhouse is a controlled environment. You can see that we do have 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks total throughout this. We're in the process of replanting to go into the summer semester, since the spring semester is about to end. And over on this side here, you can see that we do have a number of seedlings started in this area that we will move to outside. So we do have corn, cucumber, and onion. So a lot of times we will start them inside the greenhouse, since it is a controlled environment. And we are able to regulate the temperature in here before we move them into the outside wicking bed area. And that is everything I have for the greenhouse. Chef Guerra, did you have anything to add?
No, I just want to thank all the chefs that participated in today's event and all the participants that showed up to learn about our facility. So if we have any additional questions, now's the time.
So we did have a question about the winds when you have your plants outside and with your greenhouse. Have that affected you?
Great question. I think the greenhouse, the biggest thing that we notice is all the dust inside. So we got to make sure we take our allergy medicine before we go work out there. But the trees, a little bit, you might see some denting, but we go and get like anchors to hold them down so that they don't lean over too much, and they just kind of stay as straight as we can possibly keep them. It's like a little wind tunnel between the ASCB building and the fountains. When the winds kick up, it just runs right through us from west to east. Good question.
Does anyone else have any questions to ask the chefs while they're here? So I want to make a comment. Your meal yesterday was fantastic. We've always had such wonderful experiences with all the meals you all serve. So thank you so much.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. It was all the students. They come in and they knock it out. They know what they want to do, and it's great.
Yeah, it was a
We should
great.
definitely do a field trip.
It was a fantastic tour. You gave us a really great look at everything that you all provide. So thank you so much. And I really want to let you know that I speak for a lot of people when I say how much pride we have in the EPCC Culinary Arts program, both the instructors and students. So we appreciate everything you do and for doing this for us today. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And I also want to thank all of our attendees for coming today. We had a great audience today, and I thank you all for coming. And I hope you're enjoying these workshops, and I hope you can go online and see them on YouTube. If you didn't get to see the whole thing today, you can come out and see them out on YouTube. We have a lot of the culinary arts programs on there as well. And next week, we are going to offer a workshop on reducing anxiety. We're heading towards finals. Our EPCC Mental Health Committee will be with us. And don't forget, you can always sign up to get Tejano Passport points. And I really thank you all for joining with us today. So y'all have a great weekend, and thank you to all the chefs again for your presentation. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Y'all too. Thank you.